Ooh, this is a late one. Um, Took notes. This is my pen. Actually, just scribbled down some notes for this. This upload is a spotlight for the 1996 movie Kingpin, starring Woody Harrelson, Randy Quaid, and Bill Murray. Now, I googled Randy Quaid, and mm, the cast was good. Everybody who was, hey, oh, look at that. Everybody that was cast in this movie did a good job. I can say that much. But yeah, the only those. I'm sorry, but Woody Harrelson is probably one of the more underrated actors out there. Bill Murray, come on, Bill Murray is a legend at this point. Um, they were they were a little old at the time of the filming of this movie. It came out in '96, so these guys are like, ooh, how should I put this? Um, Maybe I shouldn't put it. Maybe I should just enjoy the fact that they're still making quality movies to this day or acting in quality movies to this day. So, a little bit of history. Um, the reason I decided to choose this movie for this particular for this week's spotlight is I think I said it in a few other videos. I come from to put it nicely. I come from humble beginnings. So we didn't have cable TV, and or and I didn't have anybody's else house to go to watch stuff on cable. So when we would get our and we had a VCR for the longest, like when it was like not even like I don't even understand. It's kind of hard to even describe how long we had one. But anyway, when we got our hands on a new VHS tape, we basically watched it till it stopped working. And this particular movie is was one of those. Um, Now, with that being said, you may think I have a little bit of bias toward that, but that can't my emotional attachment to this film can't. It's right there. It's right there. Literally, it's right there in the film. If you watch it, you'll see what makes this movie so special, and it's forgotten because it's from a whole nother generation. That I think that's uh, the biggest reason for it not being like put out there. It it's I feel like it falls a little bit short of it being a cult classic because there's not too much uh, for fans to gravitate towards except Bill Murray's bowling ball with the rose in the center. Now, it is a movie about bowling, but they take the directors and the writers. Uh, They decided to take a pretty. I feel like a pretty American story overall, or sound really Hollywood, a pretty American narrative overall, and just splice in some what ifs and hypotheticals that are pretty funny. So the beginning of the movie starts with Woody Harrelson as a young boy, um, small town, with his father. Uh, working hardworking man, and he spends his time. And of course, he loves his kids, so he devotes a lot of time to them. But instead of them after work, instead of them like throwing a baseball or basketball or football or any one of the major sports, they're bowling. So that in itself is hilarious. So of course they fast forward a little bit, and he's become like a local legend. He's really really talented when it comes to bowling. And then they fast forward a little bit more, and he decides to leave home. Classic story. He decides to leave home, but he's young and naive, and he gets mixed up with an older bowler that, of course, has been hustled himself. So I'm assuming, and now is hustling this young kid, and they get themselves into a situation that causes Woody's character to get his hand mangled. Most likely it was mangled, but they wind up having to chop it off because they put it inside the machine that shoots the ball back out after you get done swinging it down the lane. And then they skip really far ahead, like 17 years or something like that. Um, I'm going just an overview of the movie, but there's so many funny things. You would think some of it's overdone. Like so when they fast forward to 17 years ahead in the story, he has a hook now where his hand used to be, which I'm laughing. It's not funny that he has a hook. It's funny what he does with the hook. So they show basically show his morning routine with this hook, and like he's ripping everything off his car. He's like messing the door up. It's actually pretty funny the way it's all put together. Um, but he also has a rubber hand that he sticks on his hand, and there's a ring that he got from winning like, oh god, it's it's just part of the what makes it so funny because he has a ring on his finger from like a national or it's like national or state championship or something like that for bowling, which is just you usually get a ring like that for winning state in like football or basketball or baseball, something like that. And he has it for bowling, which I think is hilarious. I'm not knocking bowling, but I don't think bowling was. It's just a generational thing. I don't think bowling was ever that big, where people were like, "Oh my god!" So they, so he's at this point in the movie. You see his life's pretty much in shambles. He has the same car he had when he was like 17 years ago, but it's in a really it's a I forget what kind of car it is. I think it's an Oldsmobile. I want to say it's an Oldsmobile. It's not a 442. It's a lower model. No, it might have been a 442. Oh man, I'm so bad. I can't believe I can't remember what kind of car it is. But he has his car and he has a hook now and a glove with the. I'm trying to retrace my thoughts here. I know you can't really see me. There we go. So what does he do? Yeah, so he's trying to scrape by. Trying to scrape by an existence, but he's basically living off. He's basically just a salesman. So not only does he get paid off, he gets paid extra off commission, but he only gets paid if he sells stuff. So he's hawking bowling merchandise. What else? Stuff to bowling alleys, and he hears something in the background. He turns around, and there's this guy bowling, and he's like, he starts talking to him and talking to him, but the guy, you see, he's Amish, and that right there, my friends, is the complexity I look for in a movie. First of all, you have somebody who's thought they were going to be big at bowling, about at all sports or activities, really. And now he's sitting here talking to an Amish guy who's like a prodigy, like he was. Um, so he's trying to catch him. He's doing his best trying to catch him. He can't really do it. Um, I remember. I forget what else happens. So he doesn't get the chance to get him. Oh God, I have to tell this. I have to tell this one part. So Woody Harrelson's character, he lives in a shithole basically, but he has to. His rent's due. He doesn't have enough money to pay the rent. So, in order to get his landlady off his back, he hires a friend to pretend rob her, and he comes and saves her from this guy getting robbed. You know, it's this whole thing. He throws coffee in his face. He's like, "Oh God, you burned me, you bastard!" He runs away, and then they're sitting in his apartment at all places, and he's paying him, and he's talking to him. But while he's talking to him, there's another level of complexity in this conversation. He's like, "Hey, I need something to read." He's like, "What do you mean you need something to read?" He's like, "I can't go do number two if I don't have anything to read." He's like, "I got papers in there." He's like, "I already read that. You got anything else?" He's like, "No, I don't have anything else." He's like, "Here, read this shampoo bottle." He's like, "Man," he's like, "What is this? I can't read this. Give me something else." And while they're doing this back and forth, the landlady walks in, and she's like in a really good mood because he basically she thinks he basically just saved her from being robbed or whatever, and he has another cup of coffee in his hand. He winds up throwing that cup of coffee in the guy's face. And then he's trying to win her over, like trying to calm her down. And she's like, no, 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 you got to pay me. You got to pay me. He's like, there's got to be something I could do. Where else do you think it's going to lead to? This is the famous scene in this movie. So they basically, how do I put this? Do some adult wrestling. And oh my, he is in the toilet, like vomiting from having just done the deed with this lady. And to put it in perspective, I mean, I'm using that word wrong. To give you an idea why he would be vomiting, as she's putting on her socks, they get a close up of her legs with all these varicose veins. If you don't know what those are, Google them. Maybe I shouldn't have told you to Google them. But yeah, she has a whole bunch of those on her legs. So I'm getting carried away with the movie. So yeah, the Amish guy. He's trying to get Randy Quaid's character. No, Woody Harrelson's character is trying to get Randy Quaid's character to bowl for him, and somehow a lot of things just fall into place actually. So he finds a prodigy, and then there's a bowling contest. The prize is $1 million. Believe it or not, so it's going to be televised on ESPN. And oh, that's what I should have did. I should have looked up all the like cameos or whatever. I guess it's called cameo. I should have looked up all the appearances of stars in this movie. I mean, there wasn't a ton, but there was a lot of people who had no business being in this movie in these roles. I mean, how should I put this? I'm wording this wrong. So the individuals that were playing these roles actually did these things in real life, like sportscasters and TV personalities and like other various other jobs. So where am I in the story now? So yeah, he finally wins them over, but the only reason he wins over the Amish guy is because the Amish guy and his family are going to lose their land, and they need 500,000, which is half of a million. So if they win this bowling competition, he'll get 500. Woody Harrelson's character get 500, and Randy Quaid's character get 500. Easy, right? But oh, I think I should tell that story too. But I won't tell that story. That's a gem that needs to be watched because I'm gonna butcher it. So I think that's worth watching because I'm gonna butcher that story. But somehow they run across a young lady, and I don't remember her name. Sorry, but I googled her. Well, it's easy because you look up the movie and then go into cast, and you can look at all the people in the cast. She really wasn't in anything. But I said earlier, everybody who was cast in this movie pretty much fit the script. Um, so they're running around with her. They're going through their little back and forth, and the Amish guy winds up running off. Now, mind you, he's Amish, like Amish, so he hasn't been exposed to anything. So what does he run off to? A strip club. He becomes a stripper. God, so funny. That is so funny to see this tall man up there, dressed in this little two piece, like swinging around. It's hilarious. So, I'm trying to think what else happens. So yeah, they all get back together, and then they finally make it to the bowling competition. But guess who is uh, their arch nemesis or whatever when they finally make it to the bowling? Bill Murray, and Bill Murray's character is the older gentleman who initially got Woody Harrelson's character to lose his hand. So now they're going at it, and the whole time, you know what? Bill Murray is he is a treasure to acting because to watch him in this performance is unbelievable. I mean, he doesn't knock you out your socks, but he's hilarious through the whole thing, really. Well, mostly, but So they wind up getting to the competition, but Bill Murray's character kind of goats them into like kind of like altercation, but um, Woody Harrelson doesn't try to hit him. Randy Quaid's character, the Amish guy, tries to hit him, and of course he messes his hand up, and then Woody Harrelson has to wind up he has to wind up bowling again. Of course, the nerves are there, but he gets a nickname which is called the Rubber Man because his hands rubber. You get it? So of course he bowls and he loses. So now the Amish guy's gonna lose his farm. Woody Harrelson doesn't get any money. And of course, by this time the girl had already left and took all the money they made on the way to the big bowling event. So it's like Jesus. And the movie goes on, but it has a good twist at the end. I don't think I'm gonna give it away. Well, I gave it away by saying it has a good twist at the end. I'm not gonna give it away though. But I, the real reason I'm giving this a spotlight is because I think it's falling off the radar. It's fallen off the radar, I should say, and I think it deserves a spot up there with some of the top comedies of all time. It's it fits my criteria as far as the setting is pretty good, the actors show up and show out, and it's complex. Not complex to where you have to think a lot, but what I mean by that, it has layers to it. So there's all American guy who has a hook. There's a Amish guy. There's a pretty good looking chick. There's a hilarious and animated arch nemesis. There's other characters that come in and out. It's just a great movie. That's what I think of it. All right, well, I'm off for a couple of days. So